Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 3 is just around the corner and the full bracket has been revealed with some surprising match results. It must be said last night it sets up a crazy bracket to go forward, especially Thieves versus FaZe, a rematch of the Major 2 Grand Finals in the very first round in Texas. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. We've got loads to dive into today, but of course that big game last night, Breach versus Thieves, had a huge implication on the way the seedings worked out going into the Major. Boston clutched them in a game 5, Thieves were choking some round advantages, and I honestly, looking back at it, I thought, okay, Thieves, you know, whatever, right? They wouldn't mind so much whether they won or lost. Going into that series, I thought, okay, Thieves, you know, won't matter too much. However, going into it, they honestly had maybe not quite as much incentive to win as OpTic did, let's say, in their series, but they certainly had some good incentive here, Thieves. And also, FaZe could have done with beating OpTic, you could argue, because that would have set up a different situation for them in terms of who they would have played round 1. So Octane and Beans kind of have a bit of a back and forth here with some of the gunfights that Beans was winning, but this sets up a crazy bracket, right? Those results last night, with Thieves getting taken down by Boston and also OpTic beating FaZe, left the standings looking like this. So Surge, #1 seed. I mean, this is absolutely like vintage stuff from Surge, right? They placed top 12, they come back with a vengeance, right? Their search and destroy has improved massively, and they look again like a threat. And fair play to CleanX and co if they do come in and have a really great Major here, because they certainly have a winnable round 1 game. The way this works in terms of winners bracket, first plays 8, 2 plays 7, etc, etc. So Boston, by winning last night against Thieves, there was a chance last night they could have taken the first seed had of course Surge not destroyed Subliners in the way they did. But Boston 4-1, a worse map count than Surge, so they're the second seed. Then it's only 3-2 teams. So FaZe 3-2 after their result, Thieves 3-2 after their result, and losing in the fashion they did leaves them on a 60% map win percentage, and therefore on the massive 3-2 tiebreakers, they lose out to FaZe. So FaZe and Ultra have the best record here in the 3-2 teams. OpTic have the worst, but you know, that's still job done for them. 3 wins, of course, will get you over the line. 2 wins can make it happen, it cannot. Usually 1 or 2, 2 in 3 teams will make it, and this time it was Legion who just fell out. But this standing, therefore, leaves this bracket, and this is honestly pretty insane. So Surge Guerrillas, that should be pretty good for Surge given the way they're playing, and then FaZe versus Thieves, right? This is the issue with FaZe and Thieves, the teams that they love to go 3-2. And okay, you can go 3-2 and still get a decent matchup sometimes, but if you go 3-2 and you're 4th place in the standings and you play the team that's 5th place, and that quite often is FaZe or Thieves the way they play right now, they have a round 1 game. This of course was the grand finals at Major 2, and that's pretty insane to think about, right? That the crazy losers bracket run that Thieves made at Major 2 to make it to the grand finals, they might have to do it again, unless of course they beat FaZe in round 1. So on LAN it's going to be a different story. Thieves will be better. We know how close they were to FaZe at the Major. It was a super tight series. FaZe only really won the entire tournament and certainly the grand finals based on their search and destroy, which is still looking very good, right? They won Major 2 and they've continued that S&D streak all the way through the qualifiers. Now, you'd think that'll come to an end at some point, but Thieves weren't looking great in their search. You know, let's say game 5 last night against Boston, that was LSELO, where FaZe is the best team in the game, and Thieves look kind of lost at times. So that doesn't really bode too well for Thieves in this one, but they did play online and Thieves got the better of them and won all the respawn. So that's a crazy series, right? It feels like it should be a game 5 already, but you know, if it does go game 5, we know what FaZe tend to be doing in game 5s or even game 2s lately. So that's honestly pretty remarkable to think about. And look, FaZe, they're always generally good for a championship Sunday appearance, but this time it's not going to be so easy for them necessarily when they, you know, when whichever of these teams drops down to losers. Now, the mad thing is, we'll discuss in a second what team one of these 2 teams will play when they drop to losers, which feels bad for that particular team. So then we've got OpTic versus Boston. This is an interesting matchup, right? Of course, the Methods angle, formerly of Boston, now an OpTic, so that's going to be an interesting series for him individually, but also just the 2 concepts of the team, because I've said a couple of times, I feel like they're quite similarly built teams, really, in terms of the way they play the game. The slaying power is immense, but, you know, the brain isn't always there at times. I feel like it's the same for both teams, as OpTic are just a slightly superior version. So we'll see how it goes. But Boston are looking better and better, and had a great set of qualifiers here, and Beans has like really turned up last night. So that's an exciting round 1 series. And then Ultra versus Subliners, another banger series to start out the tournament here. New York will have to regain big time from their loss last night to the Seattle Surge, but of course they did beat OpTic comfortably just a couple of days ago. So Subliners are still there or thereabouts, but they need to find that consistency. And Ultra on LAN, here we go. Let's see how they can fare, because all the drama around Ultra lately has been, are they just onliners? Is the Hicksy for Standy move actually any good? Have they actually got any any better Ultra? Was it just a honeymoon period with Hicksy coming into the team? And yes, he's benefited CleanX, but is Hicksy, is he on that level where if Hydra is slaying out and Kismet's playing well, is he going to be on the same level to actually get over the line in that situation? So very exciting series, apart from maybe round 1, Surge versus Guerrillas. Now, what this means is the way this bracket works is these boxes correspond, right? So the loser of Surge Guerrillas will play Vegas Legion. So that's the round 1 game, possibly Guerrillas versus Legion again, where Legion should have got the job done online to make it to winners. They didn't. They might have to get the job done on LAN. But then the loser of FaZe and Thieves plays Rokkr. So that is why, if you're Minnesota, like, this is why you don't want to be the 12th seed, right? Because if you're the 12th seed, you play the best seeded team that drops down from the winners bracket. Like, if you're the best seed, you play the worst seeded team. So theoretically, right, you've got number 1, number 8 here. So seed number 9 will play the loser of 1 and 8, which should be 8, and therefore seed number 9 Legion have the best possible chance. Whereas Rokkr, being the 12th seed, they play either 4 or 5, right? So they're going to play a team that has a big discrepancy to them theoretically in terms of the seeding, and that's why they play a tough round 1 game here. And I mean, look, think about it, right? Either Rokkr or Thieves or FaZe are going to go out top 12. And if it is Rokkr, like, it's obviously got to be time to blow it up, right? And then you've got Ravens, they play the loser of Breach and OpTic, and then you've got Mutineers, they play the loser of Toronto and Subliners. That's how the bracket is. A very interesting one at that for sure. And we'll see how OpTic get on. Of course, at the home major, Breach a winnable round 1 game, then they play either Toronto or the New York Subliners. So it's a pretty challenging side of the bracket, but definitely easier than what it would have been if they'd have been on the other side, right? Had they been down there in losers, they might have been in Vegas's spot, and then they'd have played, okay, probably Los Angeles Guerrillas, but then they might have played FaZe or Thieves, or however it worked out as a result. Could have been kind of crazy. Also wanted to mention, though, the breakdown that began last night. So Scump and Methods started their new show. I know there was a lot of discussion on this last night, and it was really well done, and I think it's great to see that it's also pushing the community in a good direction in terms of Scump and Methods starting this show. The production quality on this is immense. I love all the different segments they had. They had a 1v2 segment where they interviewed Scrappy briefly, then they came up with their team of the week, and they put Slasher in there, I think Hydra, Scrappy, and I think Pred as well, because you can't really not at the moment. So, that was part of the show. They also did like a deep dive into some of the moments of the week, really, and some of the highlight plays as well. They looked at the number 1 play here, which is kind of, I'm sure OpTic fans, it hurt to look back on this one when they played Subliners here and Kismet got the ace. I mean, a 4v2, like, what I understand is when they played FaZe, they were more disciplined. They didn't take as much, they didn't take any stupid chows like this. Huke, for example, dives out the window in a 4 versus 2 with bomb down, gets shot by Kismet for no reason at all, and then Ghosty goes for the trade, gets killed as well, wasn't expecting him, and then Dashy is on 1v2, like, that was outrageous, and Kismet gets the credit for the nice ace, but really this is an OpTic mistake, rather than Kismet playing this particularly well. Also, Shotzzy or Scump was giving some love to Shotzzy through the stream, and it was crazy that Shotzzy was watch partying the breakdown, and had like 7,500 viewers just watch partying him watch the breakdown, or watching him watch party the breakdown, rather than actually watch it straight up. And of course the flank was going on at the same time. I know there's been all this like talk between the flank and all the viewers are going to Scump and all this type of stuff. I just think it's good in general because both the shows are great. Both of the shows do their own thing. I think it's also good that like both shows will have to find their own identity in a way. Like the production quality on the breakdown, it is honestly unbelievable. They've got the desk here, they've got all the segments you guys can see on the left hand side, and also the flank has said, okay, let's do our own segments as well. I don't know, people are saying, okay, maybe the flank needs to become more of like a first take type show or whatever, and maybe Scump and Methods can take the breakdown in a new direction as well. And they even have this nice segment here on thin ice, basically talking about the team that is in the most difficult position at the moment, of course that being the Minnesota Rokkr. There's no doubt 0-5. They go in, as we just said, to play Thieves or FaZe. It's looking short. 10 S&D loss streak as well. Like, it's not looking good for these boys. And yeah, that was episode 1. And I believe actually it probably would have got even more live viewers than it did, because there were some issues with the OBS, I believe, and Scump's stream crashed shortly before the final series. By the time they got it back live again for the breakdown just in time, the viewers came back in for Scump. But I imagine if they'd have been carried over from the watch party, they would have had, I think maybe it got to like 30k or something, but it would have probably even had more live viewers than that if it had been carried over from the main watch party. So, really cool stuff. And also the flank decided, you know what, all right, like, we see you competing with us type thing, Scump, and we're going to level up as well. So match review, community topics, doing the YouTube comment section, burger of the week, which is always good fun, getting some viewer call-ins as well. So I think it's kind of good that both shows have to find their own identity. They're both good for the community though. I know some people will say, all right, I'll watch the flank live and then I'll watch, the breakdown on YouTube, or I'll watch the breakdown live and I'll listen to the flank on YouTube, because I think the breakdown is one where watching it live is more valuable because of the visuals, whereas possibly the flank, if you you just listen to it maybe afterwards on Spotify or something, it's still going to get the same benefit across maybe, at least in part. So, I don't know, just some interesting thoughts from the community on this. And I know there's been, all this drama about, what's good, what's bad. I don't know, there was some discussion on exactly like what segments they should potentially bring into the breakdown, whether they get Scump and methods to kind of go off against each other and some sort of like, one of them takes a side, the other one takes the other side. It was like the, I forget exactly what it was called a few years ago, but when Nameless gave that take that, is Shotzzy botsy or is he not a bot? Is he a boom or bust, right? I think was the argument. And Nameless had to defend the point. I think it was called defend the point maybe. I don't know what it was called. That, that Shotzzy was a bust and then he had to defend that point and then the other guy would give their thoughts on it. And it was a pretty good show they used to do a couple of years ago. And maybe there's elements of that they can implement here. And also people were giving thoughts on Reddit. What about having Embos come in and do some sort of S&D breakdown? We know that Embos likes his search and destroy, is very good at search and destroy, historically has a lot of great ideas, likes to get the bomb down or the rock down or whatever we say nowadays as fast as possible. But yeah, maybe having Embos come on from time to time to do like an S&D breakdown or something like that would be really interesting. So I think it's just good for the community. Not exactly sure how long or like, what the plan is for Scump in terms of how often this is going to be happening, because it's probably not something you can realistically do in its current form every single day. It needs some prep time. It's like, it's probably a Sunday thing you do after the matches, which does make a fair bit of sense what they did this time. Maybe they can level it up over time. What are they going to do at the major? I don't know. But really cool to see what Scump and methods have done here, and also just like the OpTic guys continuing to push. And even as Clay says last night, giving credit to both shows, because I know that people seem to, they take sides on this too much. And honestly, like, it's kind of a rising tide lifts all ships type thing, where I think it can be good for the community in general, even if the flank gets marginally less viewers while it's actually live. But Suma's also built a great community as well, so it's not like the flank's going to disappear or anything. And even as Clay says, love to see both shows pushing each other to be better. This is only good for COD. So, as you can see last night, just some of the numbers while this was going on. But tweet your thoughts on this in the comments below. What did you think of the first breakdown episode? Also, you see the flank on the left-hand side. They've also got the segments, the comments, the community inside, all this stuff. So a bit of friendly competition never hurt, I suppose. And also, just to close out the video, I thought was kind of funny. So before the games yesterday, Nameless, the, Call of Duty analyst, of course, came out with his opinion on, I'll offer some free consulting. Trades never happen, but this is what they should do. So iLLeY should go to Rokkr for Attach. Attach comes back to OpTic. And basically what this results in is these three teams. Now, I know that people are like, oh, wow, like Nameless really thought he was cooking something here, because of course OpTic went on to win later in the day. But this is his opinion on the three rosters. I doubt many of you guys will agree with this, but tweet your thoughts in the comments. So I guess Rokkr would become iLLeY, Afro, Standy, and Cammy. OpTic would be Attach, Dashy. Don't know if that works as an AR duo personally, but whatever. Huke and Shotzzy. Then Bance, Scrappy, Insight, and CleanX over on Toronto. So, I guess that's an interesting idea as well. Kind of solid three-way trades. I mean, okay, three-way trades, it's not going to happen anyway, let's be honest here. But maybe Nameless is really cooking up something special. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.